high sugar, high fat foods. There's limited healthy options. Think how many Christmas parties you go to and there's something healthy to have. We travel. Our inhibitions are lowered because we're around friends, we're around family. Sometimes we're having cocktails, so we lower our inhibitions. We're not always in the right mindset to make the best decisions. The biggest thing is multiple events and parties. Throughout the summer or the past couple of months, it's easy to take just one relaxed meal a week, but when you have 4 Christmas parties in a week, that really trips you up. Pressure from friends and family that you don't typically see, especially if they're not supportive of your weight loss goals. And some people have a sense of rewarding themselves. It's the holiday, I'm going to reward myself by eating. So I always go through this. I know you guys are kind of beat to death with it, but our body's gas tank, or where we get our energy, it starts in our bloodstream with the food we've recently eaten. If we have not eaten in a while, we then tap into our stored glycogen, which is stored in our liver, and anything else. If there's nothing in our liver glycogen, we then go to body fat. We also store in the same way. So if we eat too much, we're going to store it as liver glycogen. If liver glycogen is full, it then gets stored as body fat. And last month, we talked about our bank account, and if our wallet's full, we're going to go to the bank. So on the diet doc prescription, what we're trying to do is give you just enough carbohydrate and food that you're going to eat when you eat, that you're going to utilize it immediately. We're not going to have anything in our liver glycogen. So in between meals, we can't go here for energy, so we have to tap into body fat. So we're burning carbohydrates and fat all day long. And this is where we want you to be. If you're still a little confused on this, go back on our Facebook page. There is a YouTube video of last month's. It wasn't a lunch, but we did do a learning session. And I talk about that in bigger detail. So who in here is familiar with glycemic index? Does anyone really understand what it is? Okay, basically it's a number they give carbohydrates from 0 to 100. 100 is pure glucose. So if you went to the hospital and took the little glucose drink that they give you, that would be 100. It raises your blood sugar very quickly, and that's what they're trying to do in that test. There's really nothing that's 0, but things like broccoli, cauliflower, lettuce, those are going to be around 10 or 15. So those make your blood sugar raise really slowly. Why I want to bring this up over the holidays is there's a lot of foods in this, the high glycemic area, that you're going to run into over the holidays. Popcorn, Chex Mix, pumpkin pie, mashed potatoes, chocolate. So you're going to run into a lot of these foods. Whenever we eat a sugary food, or even too much carbohydrate, what happens is our blood sugar raises really quickly. You can see the red line. Who knows what happens when it gets up there to the top? Well, we have a hormone. What hormone gets released? Insulin. Insulin is what causes us to drop our blood sugar really fast, and not to a normal hunger level, but down here. So what do we feel down here? Tired after Thanksgiving. Yeah. So people think it's the tryptophan in the turkey. No, it's usually all the mashed potatoes, stuffing, pumpkin pie you've eaten. That's going to bring you down here. You're going to feel very lethargic, but you're also going to crave sugar because your blood sugar is low. When we eat low glycemic carbohydrates, we get a slower release of sugar into our blood. We never peak, so insulin's never released, and we come back to a normal hunger level and energy levels. We don't have these spikes and crashes with energy. It also decreases our cravings. So basically, what happens is you get on a roller coaster. You go eat your mashed potatoes, you crash. Well, now I just want sugar. I want something sugary, so I love to have some pumpkin pie. Then eat that, and now you crash. Well, now I want something else sweet, so you go and you have a handful of M&Ms, and so you're on this roller coaster all day long. Has anyone here ever experienced that? We want you on the lower glycemic, where your blood sugar is raising slowly, insulin's never released. This is stability. If you've been on the program and doing it correctly, that's what you feel. You don't feel hungry. You're not craving cakes, cookies, and sugar. If you are craving those things, then you're probably eating some of the wrong combinations of things. So what happens? We eat a high glycemic meal. It spikes our blood sugar and insulin levels. That causes us to drop our blood sugar, and it increases fat storage, which is not it leads to more hunger, sugar cravings. So what do? We eat another high-glycemic meal, and we get on this vicious cycle. Another reason we don't like insulin to be released, not only because it causes cravings, but for 3 hours after insulin's been released, it stays in your system, and all fat burning stops, and your body goes into storage mode. So insulin increases fat storage. So when it's this that you want to get rid of, and this, you can blame insulin. So if you want to get rid of any of those areas, really start to think about lower glycemic foods and decreasing insulin response. So some people say, well, I'll just eat high-fat foods. You know, I just won't worry about these carbs at all, and I'll just eat higher fat food. The problem with that is dietary fat is most easily stored as body fat because it is fat. Your body doesn't have to do anything with it. So if you eat too much fat, it's easy for your body to store it. So just by cutting out carbs or reducing them and eating more fat, if you eat too much, you're going to store it. Okay, so I'm just like the party pooper now, right? Well, I honestly don't believe that food is really the problem when it comes to holidays. I think the problem is here for even me. I have to deal with it too. So, emotional eating. What is emotional eating? Well, it's when we justify eating more. We say, it's Thanksgiving, and even though I had a relaxed meal yesterday, I'm still going to eat more. So we eat more. Then that stresses us out. So we need to relieve our stress. So what do? We eat more. So we justify eating more. Well, I already screwed up, I'm going to eat some more. And then you get in this emotional eating cycle. Anyone ever been here?
No.
So, this is basically what happens when we overeat. We overeat, we feel bad about it. So, I overate, so we temporarily lose motivation. You know what? Just forget it. I'm not even going to log the rest of the weekend. Monday comes, and guess what? You gain some weight. Yikes, I gained some weight. Start feeling anxious about it. I got to go back on the diet. So, what a lot of people do is, instead of just going back to the regular prescription, they're going to cut more calories on Monday and Tuesday. Or they're like, I'm going to do some extra cardio. I'll do 2 extra cardio sessions. Well, what does that do? You're going to be way hungrier if you cut your calories. You're already on a hypocaloric plan, or less calories than what your body needs, and you're going to take it down even further. Now you're going to have cravings. So what are you going to do? Likely overeat again, feel bad about it. Well, screw it, I just won't even log this week. Then you gain even more weight. And I know people in this room are guilty of this cycle. So we want to stop it here. If we overeat, we can fix it. We don't need to get in the cycle of cutting and over-exercising. So I want you guys to think about what you think of food, and realize food is just food. Food is not a reward. Food is not love. Food is not our happiness. It doesn't make us more secure. It doesn't really comfort us, especially if we're trying to lose weight. And it's also not our enemy. Food is just food. It's energy for our body. And you have to learn to take some of these emotions out of it. So the good news is we can still have fun. We can still eat some fun things over the holidays, but we need to be intentional and mindful and purposeful when we eat. And I know we say this a lot in our learning sessions, but I talked to Kim and I said, you know, what's a way we can get people to systematically think through things when they're about to eat? And I'm like, we need to come up with a mnemonic. So I came up with a mnemonic called HALT. H-A-L-T. So before you eat anything, it can be just a regular day, or it could be at a party, I want you guys to go through this mentally in your head. So what does it stand for? H is hungry. Am I actually hungry? When's the last time I ate? If you ate 90 minutes ago, you're probably not physically hungry. Realize that you can eat again later. So if you go somewhere and you want, say, you're here and you want one of the cupcakes that we have left over. That's okay, you can take it home and eat it later. You're not hungry, you just ate. So there's always leftovers over the holidays. If you're at work, you just had lunch and someone brings in something for the holidays, it's okay for you to take it and eat it later. But ask yourself, am I really physically hungry? Do I need to eat right now? There is a difference between physical hunger and emotional hunger, and I think this is very important for you to think through. Physical hunger comes on slowly, and there's a variety of foods that will satisfy you. So I always say, I know I'm not really hungry unless carrot sticks or broccoli taste good. Because if they don't, or they don't sound good, I'm not really hungry. Something else is driving me to want to eat, like I'm bored. When you're physically hungry, you'll stop eating when you're full. You eat your lunch and then you're done. And you don't feel guilty after eating, because you are hungry, your body needs nutrition. Emotional hunger is that sudden, anxious, I want to eat that right now. It's filled with a lot of emotion. It causes very specific cravings, like ice cream. You don't eat ice cream when you're physically hungry. That's more of an emotional hunger that you're feeling. If there's only one food that's going to satisfy you, realize that that's an emotional hunger that you're dealing with. You're going to eat more than you normally would. If you're emotionally eating pizza at Monaco's, you're not going to stop at your 2 or 3 pieces. You're going to have half pizza. And it can cause feelings of guilt. So if you eat something and you feel guilty afterward, it's probably because you emotionally ate it, or you ate out of emotion. A is anytime. So you can have any of these foods anytime. I want you to always think, I can always have pumpkin pie. I don't have to eat pumpkin pie just because it's the day after Thanksgiving. I could have it in March, I could have it in December, I could have it for breakfast if I wanted to. We're not, on this plan, we don't restrict any foods. So you can always have it and fit it into your day. It's not imperative to eat 3 or 4 servings of mashed potatoes because it's Thanksgiving, because you can have mashed potatoes any day of the year if you wanted to. This is one thing that I do a lot, is I can have a food anytime, but I choose not to eat it. So I'm not going to eat it just because it's a holiday. For example, mashed potatoes. I can always have mashed potatoes, but I choose not to because I don't like the way I feel when I eat them. I get an insulin spike, I feel lazy, I don't like it. So I don't have to eat them just because it's Thanksgiving and they're there. And along those lines, can I make a healthy version of this and eat it more often? And that's what I did with the mashed cauliflower. It's kind of like mashed potatoes. I would eat that all day long for 5 carbs versus 35 in mashed potatoes. So I was just like, so I would eat, you could have 4 helpings of that versus a half cup of mashed potatoes. So just think, when you're looking at food, just realize you can have it all the time. You don't have to go crazy just because it's a holiday. List the facts. Look at the food and say, those mashed potatoes are 35 carbs, they've got 10 grams of fat because Grammy uses whipping cream when she makes them, and no protein. Objective. No feeling attached. That's what it is. And decide if you're going to eat it. You can eat it, but just look at it objectively, just the facts, no emotion. You're getting ready for seconds. You can say, I've already eaten way too many carbs, way too much fat, and not enough protein. It's more than what my body requires as far as carbs and fats. Do I really need to go back for seconds? It's objective. You're looking at just the facts. Whenever we do that, when we look at food objectively, it prevents us from emotionally getting carried away and just eating and eating and eating during the holidays. And T is for tomorrow. How will it affect me tomorrow if I eat this? Should I expect the scale to go up? Will the scale go down? Will I feel guilty, or will I be pleased that I've made a healthy decision? Will I have to adjust my plans? Maybe you decided to eat something today and you had a relaxed meal scheduled for the weekend. That's okay. You can still adjust your plans if you decide to eat it. And is it worth feeling blank tomorrow, however you feel? Is it worth feeling upset with myself? That's for you to decide. But going through that process of H, L, A, and T before you make a decision, and it can be done very quickly, but that can help you kind of put things in an objective standpoint so that you're not emotionally tied so much to food, especially around the holidays. So hunger, anytime, list the facts, and tomorrow. And what we have are little magnets, if you guys want them. We can pass, they can come get them later.
Okay.
But
won't
show
walk in front.
them to them. They're like just little magnets that you can stick at work or on your refrigerator, just to remind you each L, A, and T. And if you forget what they mean, I can email them to you.
Write them down.
I can email you those like 5 or 6 slides so you can have them. Pitfalls to avoid. So we talked about this back in June when we did the holidays, and I think it went over pretty well. I've been really good on my diet, so I'm going to reward myself by eating this. We don't call it a reward meal, we call it a relaxed